my name is Chloe, and I read about 110 books this year. It is the most books I've ever read in a year. My goal was 100, and yeah, I did really well, and I'm actually really proud of myself this year for the amount of books that I did read. I love watching tier ranking videos. I know they're not super popular anymore, but I like doing it, and I did start my YouTube in November, so I haven't talked about a lot of these books because I read them pre-November, and so I thought it would be fun to go through and tier rank every book I read in November and also look at my reading stats for November. So probably gonna be a long video, but I'm sorry, all my videos have been really long. I need to start making some shorter videos. This is the same mic that I had before, but now it's mine. My dad got me a mic for Christmas, and so now I don't have to steal my brother's anymore, so I have my own mic, so that's fun. Oh, there's a kitty. There's also a Lucy behind the kitty, but they're here with me as well, but I will probably put myself in the corner somewhere so you don't have to stare at my face while I stare at my screen tier ranking. So actually, let's start with the stats. Let's look at my 2022 reading stats. My goal was 100. I've never beat 100 books before, but I read 110 this year. I did have a page goal and an hour goal, but I don't know if they're that accurate because Storygraph, which I use, doesn't allow you to really split a book. So if you half listen to a book, half physically read a book, you can't split it between them. So it's not probably super accurate, but it's there. I completed both of them. I honestly probably listened to a lot more hours. I probably had a lot more hours than it actually says because I reread books a lot with at night listening, and I don't count them towards the hours goal for some reason because you just can't split them. You can't split them between physically reading and audiobook reading, which is so stupid. Here is this little pie chart for the moods of the books I read. So my highest value was 73 for adventurous. It was emotional. My least being relaxing. So if that says anything about me. Pace, mostly medium paced books, which is weird because I tend to like fast paced books. I hate slow paced books, so that makes sense. So that's why that's my least on this pie chart. Number, I typically do like larger page count. I like thicker books. This year I didn't read that many 500 plus page books. I only read 7. So my majority was between 300 and 500 pages. Audiobook length, I don't know how accurate this is because I feel like I listen to a lot of 24-hour plus audiobooks. Nonfiction versus fiction. Obviously, I've read 106 way more fiction than nonfiction. The only reason why I have nonfiction is in here is because I am part of a book club, and that book club we can pick nonfiction or fiction. So all the books I've read that are nonfiction are purely because of that book club. Here are my genres, fantasy being my top, which is not surprising, YA being my second, and romance being my third. That one's surprising. I did read a lot of romance this year, and I don't normally read this much romance, but I read a lot of romance this year because they're just easy and fast to read, and I was trying to get to that 100 books as quickly as I could. Followed by short stories, which is also wild to me because I never read short stories, but I read a ton of short stories this year, and then contemporary, which is surprising because I hate contemporary books, and then all the other ones, crime being the least. Format, honestly, audio is probably more higher, but I don't know how accurate these are. Most read authors, first being Cassandra Clare, doesn't surprise me. I tried to reread all the Shadowhunter books this year. Didn't succeed, but I read 27. So, I got close. When I say I'm reading all her books, I mean all of them, all the short stories. That's why my short stories was so high. I wanted to read all the short stories, all the novellas, all the books, everything within the Shadowhunter universe, so that's why that is so high. Here's the chart. I read so many books in May. May was my best month at 25 books, and then it kind of just went downhill from there. My average rating was 3.75 stars. Honestly, it's probably lower, but I did a lot of rereads this year. So like the new books I read, probably lower average rating, but I didn't read a lot of new favorites this year. There was no new books that I read that like blew my mind, so a lot of them were rereads. So here is my Goodreads year in review. You can come be friends with me on Goodreads or Storygraph, but here is, we'll just go over this real quick. So 37,000 pages read, 110 books. Shortest book was A Legend of Korra graphic novel, comic book that I read, and the longest book was 841 pages with the Book of Azrael. Average 341, most shelved, Anne Frank, least shelved, idol-loving boyfriend. Average rating 3.6, highest rated, How the Word is Passed. Let's get into the tier ranking. So for my tiers, my first one is my loves, my favorite of all time books. This is gonna have a lot of rereads in it, and because I don't think I have any new favorites from this year, like all-time favorites, but we will see. Second is very enjoyable. I really liked it, but it didn't give me that like 5-star feel or that just like all-time favorite feel. Third is love-hate relationship. Did I spell relationship wrong? Relationship. It looks weird to me. RELATION ship. Third is love-hate relationship. I love this book, but I also have some issues with it. And second is I liked it, but it's forgettable. That was okay. I liked it, but it's forgettable. Next is okay, kind of boring. Next is wow, I hated this. And then my DNFs of the year. Let's get started. I don't know how much information I'm going to be saying about each one because there are a lot of books here. So we're going to start with all the Lunar Chronicles because they're right here. For the Lunar Chronicles, I'm actually going to put them in separate ones. So I'm going to put Cinder in my love, Scarlet in very enjoyable, Cress in very enjoyable, and then Winter in my love. I really do love the Lunar Chronicles, but you know, every book has their better and worse books in the series. Cress might be in my love. I know Scarlet is probably my least favorite of the series, so that's gonna go there, but I really enjoy Cinder. I love the Lunar Chronicles. I have a cat named after Cinder. Like, I adore this series. It's one of the first YA fantasy sci-fi books I ever read, and I just fell in love with it. I also really love Disney and fairy tales, and so this book just hit a lot of things for me. We're just gonna try to do it in groups of series, so it doesn't take as long, but Dark Angel or The Infernal Device is next. So as I said, I did try to reread all the Shadowhunters this year, and the whole Infernal Devices is definitely in my love. 3 books are top tier for me. I love them. Next is City of Ashes. This is gonna go in the love-hate relationship. Actually, it might be lower. City of Ashes and City of Bones. Where is City of Bones? I'll put that one here as well. I love the Shadowhunters universe. I do not like these first 2 books. I love them because they got me into reading when I was younger, but now reading them, I hate them. So that's why this love-hate relationship, which still looks like it's spelled wrong to me, is here. It's kind of books, I read them a lot when I was younger and I loved them, but now rereading them, I'm just like, okay, this is weird. I don't like this. I had the hardest time reading City of Bones and City of Ashes. I was going so well in my Shadowhunter read through, and then I got to the Mortal Instruments and like completely died because I had to read these 2 books and I forgot how much I hated them. Do I hate them? Okay. It's weird. It's a love-hate relationship. For the last stand of the New York Institute. This is a novella in the Shadowhunter universe that I reread. I'm gonna put it in liked it, but kind of forgettable. I don't remember much that happened in that novella. Hotel d'Amour. I'm also gonna put it in liked it, but forgettable. Saving Raphael. Liked it, but forgettable. The Rise of Hotel. Yeah, 3 stars. A lot of the Magnus Bane novellas are like, I liked them when I read them, but then I forget everything that happens in them. The Runaway Queen, I'm gonna put in okay, kind of boring. The Midnight Air. I enjoyed The Midnight Air, as well as Vampire Scones and Edmund Herondale. That's a good one. What Really Happened Peru is kind of boring. Now we get to, sorry, I'm trying to go through these because there's a lot of Shadowhunter books. Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron are both in my loves. I love this era of Shadowhunters. The Edwardian and Victorian era Shadowhunters are my favorite, way better than the modern ones. Yay, we get away from some rereads and to this book, which I read for the first time this year, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I'm gonna put this in liked it, but forgettable. This one I gave 3 stars. Didn't hate it, it just wasn't for me. I was really excited to read it. I read it for book club. Like, I can see how a lot of people love this series, but I just didn't connect with any of the characters, and I honestly don't remember much of the plot, and it's very plot heavy, I think. And like the whole magic system's kind of hard to learn, but like once you get it, you get it. But next book, Kiss the Sky. Did I really give this 3.5 stars? On my review, I said I liked this more than I thought I would. It kept my attention throughout the whole book and wasn't boring. I found it pretty entertaining. But honestly, if I wouldn't have read my review, I remember nothing about this book, so I want to put it in liked it, but forgettable. Continue on. The Whitechapel Fiend. I really enjoyed this one. It's one of my favorite novellas. Evil We Love. Evil We Love. If I remember this one correctly, I really, really enjoy. I think I really loved. Oh, The Evil We Love. This is the Valentine's Circle one. This one was really enjoyable for me, actually. I liked that one. Milk and Honey. I hated it. I am not a poetry person, and this was a book club book. Like self-love, learning to love yourself, learning to like accept things and be more feminist, and like she would say one thing and one thing would be like, yeah, I agree with that, that's very important, and then the next one she would like contradict everything she said in the first thing. So like I just don't think poetry is for me. Next is Nothing But Shadows. I'm gonna put this in very enjoyable because I just love my boy James Harrendale, and this is a novella about him and Matthew and some of the other characters from Chain of Gold in before Chain of Gold, and I love Chain of Gold, so I love them and I love their characters. Next is Renegades. Renegades I'm gonna put in very enjoyable. If I can find the other 2, I'll do them right now too. Arch Enemies, here we go. Arch Enemies would be in my love, and so would Supernova. The first one I think is not as good as the second 2, but it's still really enjoyable. Just rereading it this year, I've realized that the first one just isn't as good as the second 2, so it goes there. Traitor's Kiss is part of a trilogy, and I'm going to put it in liked it, but forgettable. I reread it again this year so I could finish the rest of the series, and I liked the first one, and then the second and third one, I don't remember which one's the second and which one's the third. So I'm going to put the first one and liked it, but forgettable. I did have to reread it twice to remember what happened in it, but I did like it. I'm going to put the Red Scrolls of Magic in enjoyable. A Man's Search for Meaning. Love-hate relationship. Like, it's hard for these books, these like nonfiction like stories, because like there is some important stuff in here. I really, really enjoyed the first half of this book. I love the first half of this book when he's talking about his time in the concentration camps. But the second half, where it's only about psychology, I thought I would really like it, but it just wasn't for me. It was really boring, the second part, but I really liked the first part about his time in concentration camps. It's just really interesting. Oh, this book I rated 0.75 stars. It was like 90, or wait, I think it was on sale for like $0, and so I bought it just for the Kindle, and it wasn't that many pages, I don't think. It was really short, and I was bored, and I was like, okay, let's just read this free book today, and I could tell why it was free. It it's something. Let's continue. Son of the Dawn, liked it, but forgettable. Kiss Quotient is one of my all-time favorite romances that I read this year. That's gonna go in my love. Capturing the Devil, it's in my love. That is a Stalking Jack the Ripper book, and that's the only one I actually read this year, which is surprising because I could try to reread the whole series and just didn't. City of Glass is gonna go in very enjoyable. Love-hate relationship. Okay, I like City of Glass more than City of Ashes and City of Bones, but there's still kind of an issue that the same 2 books have. But I love Magnus and City of Glass, and I love the whole wrap up of City of Glass. So that is a love-hate relationship. Cast Long Shadows, I remember this one. I'm gonna put it in okay, kind of boring. Every Exquisite Thing is one of my favorite Shadowhunter novellas ever. It's gonna go in my love. This one made me cry the first time I read it. Learn About Loss, liked it, kind of forgettable. A Deeper Love, I think this is one of my favorites. I'm pretty sure this is a Gem and Tessa story. Okay. A Deeper Love is gonna go in very enjoyable. I remember this one. It's sad, especially if you really love the Infernal Devices. Even graphic novel, okay, kind of boring. I just never was a big Teen Titans person, and I wanted to read them I borrowed them from my boyfriend and just to see if I liked them, and I read it, and I was just kind of bored the whole time. The Wicked Ones, there's a lot of novellas, and I'm sorry. The Wicked Ones, liked it, but forgettable. Sky and Breath is gonna go in love-hate relationship. Crescent City I hated. I hated Crescent City, and I was like, I might as well just try the second book. And I didn't like the second book for a good majority of it until like the last 10%. So I'm gonna put it there, because like it's not forgettable, but it wasn't very enjoyable to me. It was just, I was bored throughout most of it, and then the last 10% happened, and I'm like, well, now I need the next. Oh, this is a new one this year that is a new favorite, and that is Heartstopper. Very much loved Heartstopper. Persuasion, I'm gonna put in okay, kind of boring. I don't know if I'm a Jane Austen kind of person. This is the first Jane Austen book I've ever tried to read. Heartstopper 2 and 3. I don't remember what happens. I remember loving Heartstopper. I'm gonna put 2 and 3 in very enjoyable, because I don't remember the details of them. Fable is in... Fable is going to go into... I don't know if it goes into my love or very enjoyable. Fable into very enjoyable. This is one of my favorite like fantasy series. Same with Namesake. I'm putting that in there too. But Kami Can't Communicate, I'm going to put in okay, kind of boring. I didn't continue on with the series, and I'm not that interested in watching the anime either, so it's just going to go there. Spy Family. I'm going to put the first one in my love. I love the first one so much. The series kind of goes downhill for me. I still really love the anime, and I'm still like watching it every week, and I love watching it. But the manga itself, it just is like the same thing happening over and over again, and I just wish it was a little bit different. So I'm gonna put the first 2 in very enjoyable, and then the later ones in okay, kind of boring. Just because it's like the same thing happening over and over again. Okay, I'm sorry. These Silent Delights is also a new favorite of mine. I've read 3 books this year that are my all-time favorites now that I guess that I didn't remember about. Heartstopper, I'm gonna put that in very enjoyable. Kingdom of the Cursed is a favorite of mine that was a reread this year. Finley Donovan is killing it. I'm gonna put it enjoyable. The Prison Healer, I'm going to put in okay, kind of boring. Wasn't my favorite book. Probably won't be continuing on with the series. I don't think it was boring. I didn't forget it. Maybe a love-hate relationship should be further down on this list. It was entertaining, but it wasn't a favorite. I didn't hate it, but I'm going to put it in wow, I hated this. Because it was, we'll put it in okay, kind of boring, actually. Okay, we'll put it there. Because it was okay. It was an okay book. It wasn't boring, but it was okay. Same with A Game of Retribution. I'm going to put that in okay, kind of boring. Touch of Malice. Also, How the Word is Passed. I'm going to put in a love-hate relationship. Because I think it is important to read. And it has some good content in there. But it was so boring to read. So... honestly, it could be in liked it, but boring. Okay, kind of boring, but I think it's important to read, so it's going to go in love-hate relationship. Court. Wow, I hated this. I read the whole Crave series by Tracy Wolff for a buddy read, and I can't believe sometimes the love people have for this series. Plot is all over the place. The characters are all over the place. It's trying to give this like young adult Twilight feel, but also it's including smut in it, and I'm like, it's a YA book, so I don't know, it's weird. Once Upon a K-Prom, very, very enjoyable. I loved this contemporary. It's so cute. It's about a K-pop group, and one of the members is trying to ask a girl to prom. It's really cute. If you like K-pop, you'll like it. Twisted Love, I'm going to go in... This one I'm going to put in love-hate relationship, okay? I want to put the first one in love-hate relationship. All the other ones are going to go in, wow, I hated this. I have a whole video coming about that series. Jade Fire Gold is one of my recent reads, and I'm gonna put it in like it but forgettable. There was nothing that like wowed me about the book. King of Battle and Blood, I really liked the first time I read it. It probably would have been my love, but the more I think about it, the more I forgot like everything that happened in it, and so I liked it, but it is forgettable. And then I reread then I got the arc of the second book, and I was so excited to read it, and I despised it. It was awful. I have a video coming out about that too. A Magic Steeped in Poison was interesting. I actually really liked it, but I don't think I'm continuing on with the series, and so I'm going to put it in like it but forgettable. Our Violent Ends is going to go into very enjoyable. I think I liked These Violent Delights better. I can't remember. Maybe they're both into my... Yeah, I'm going to put it in very enjoyable. Diary of Anne Frank, very enjoyable. Love-hate relationship? Love-hate relationship. Diary of Anne Frank it's going in very enjoyable. Never mind. It's an important book, and she is funny. Like, reading it, she is like so trying to make the best out of a worse situation, and I think it's very important to read. A Castle on Their Bones, liked it but forgettable. Kind of boring. What did I rate it? Right now, I kind of want to put it in kind of boring. I don't think I'm going to be continuing on with that series. I rated this 4 stars. I think I got to bring that rating down. I'm going to put liked it in, but forgettable. Fine Print, I despised this book. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I'm going to put in liked it, but forgettable. Because I don't think I'm going to be continuing on with the series, but it is a good book where you don't have to. Like, it ends in a spot where you really don't need to read the next one unless you're, like, obsessed with this book. Glow, I'm gonna put it liked it but forgettable. This series, maybe this is a love-hate relationship. Let's put it there. This series started off as a 1-star for me, and then people told me to keep reading it, and it's true, as I read it, they've slightly gone up with my rating. The further the series goes, the better it gets, so that's why I'm gonna put it in love-hate relationship. This Woman Kingdom, I liked it, but I don't remember much what happened in it, and I was super excited to read this book because it's Tahara Mafi, and I love her writing, and I read it in October, and I don't remember like a single thing about it. Husband Material, I'm gonna put in enjoyable. I loved the first one, but the second one wasn't as good, but it was still like fun to read. Stand-In, I don't think it's an all-time favorite, but it was really fun. The girl who narrated it is amazing. I gave this 2 stars, but I don't remember liking it at all. I said it was entertaining and overall fun to read, but there was a lot of issues I had with it. I'm gonna put it in okay, kind of boring, I guess, because it was 2 stars. I didn't really have a 2-star category. It kind of goes from like 3-ish stars to like 0. 1 star. Kingdom of the Feared. My love. My love, my love, my love. I love Carrie Mascoco. I Kiss Shara Wheeler was one of the first 5-star books I read this year. I really loved it. I don't think it's an all-time favorite because I don't think I'm gonna reread it, but I still think people should definitely read it. Like, I Kiss Shara Wheeler is really good. It's a graphic novel for the Mortal Instruments. I'm gonna put it in love-hate relationship because it's a graphic novel of these books, but like the art style is really pretty. Legend of Korra graphic novel. I'm just gonna put in enjoyable. I had a fun time reading it. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, so I was like, that was free for free comic day or whatever, and I was like, yeah. So I read that for like, and it took me like 20 minutes to read, but it was great. Bravely, I'm gonna put in wow, I hated this. I had a lot of high expectations for this book because I love Brave the movie and I love Maggie Stiefvater, who wrote Bravely, but that book was not it for me. A Proposal They Can't Refuse. I'm gonna put in okay, kind of boring. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the greatest, it was very cliche, it's supposed to be enemies to lovers, but I don't think it did enemies to lovers very well, so the Neon Gods series, let's just do all of these real quick. Kate Robert, as an author, she makes entertaining stories. Like, they're entertaining. Are they good? Probably not. I don't think they're boring, but I don't think they're good. So, like, I'm gonna put them all in this. I'm just gonna put them together right here. And Court of the Vampire Queen, we'll just get all the Kate Robert out of the way, is gonna be in wow, I hated this. That was an awful book. It was just, the whole plot was just trying to get a girl pregnant. That was it. Fake It in Hollywood, I believe, was one I hated and liked it but forgettable, but okay, kind of boring. I think I'm gonna put it in okay, kind of boring. Like, these three all kind of had the similar vibe. They were all trying to do the same thing but didn't do it very well for me. Okay, another contemporary romance. For better or for worse, I liked more than these three, so I'm gonna put it in liked it but forgettable. Under One Roof is one I read recently. I'm gonna put it in liked it but forgettable, because I did like it more than these three, and it was only 100 pages, so it didn't waste as much time as these three did, but actually I had a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna put that in very enjoyable. Yeah, okay. Yeah. The Book of Azrael. I was so excited for this book. It was so hyped up on Book Talk and Bookstagram. Everybody's talking about how good it was. I saw multiple TikToks and reels and stuff about it, and I got offered an arc for it, and I was like, yes, I want that. I DNF'd it first, and then I was like, wait, I need to write a review about this. The arc company that I was doing it under. And I was like, I need to actually be able to write a review and not just say like, hey, I didn't like this DNF. And so I put it down. And then like a month later, I was like, okay, let's retry this. And so I read the Book of Azrael, and it was my longest book of the year too, which is sad. But I hated it. It was super cringy, not great editing in the book. I could have had a lot more. There was a lot of potential in it, but like just wasn't there. Cinder's Adventure. This was enjoyable. This is such a stupid book. It is like the author wrote fan fiction for her own book, and I loved it. It's like a choose your own adventure, and you're going through a bunch of different Marissa Meyer books, and it's ridiculous, but I love it. Saint is gonna go in very enjoyable. I love the Narrows universe. Oh god, let's talk about the idol-loving boyfriend. This is having an idol-loving boyfriend is the best. Volume 1. I'm gonna put this in. Wow, I hated it. I thought it was gonna be really cute, and I got an arc of it, and I was like so excited to read it, and like I was like forcing myself to read it. King of Wrath. Wow, I hated this. Trial of the Sun Queen. This was a book. I was gonna DNF this at like 10%. I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to do this anymore. And I did it for a book tour. I got it for free for a book tour. And 10% I was like, okay, I haven't given it enough a chance yet. So I'm just going to keep going. And I did, and I'm kind of glad I did, because it did get much better. It had, the one thing I really hated about it was the women versus women aspect that it had going for it. It is like the selection, but if the selection was steamier, I probably will continue on with the series just because I'm curious to see where it goes, but like I'm not in love with it. Okay, kind of boring, because that first half of the book was really hard to get through, and I almost DNF'd Maiden and the Unseen. This was another arc I got, and I believe I despised this book. Maiden and the Unseen is a Hades and Persephone untelling, but there's nothing unique about it. It's just another Hades and Persephone retelling. There's the cheating trope in this, and I hate when the main characters cheat on each other. I hated this. The Andromeda Strain, also going in. Wow, I hated this. Murder on the Orient Express. I'm gonna put it in okay, kind of boring. It's a murder book. I should have been more interested than I was. I was really bored throughout like the first like 50%, and then finally it got interesting to me. You know what? Let's move it up one. Liked it, but forgettable. Ready Player One, I actually found very enjoyable. I read this for school, and I was surprised I liked it as much as I did to the last two books, and these both are my DNFs of the year. I'm surprised there's only two, actually. Val Lady Fortune, which I was expecting to love because it's Chloe Gong. It's the like next book in these Violent Delights kind of world, and I just couldn't read it. I don't think this was on the book, but on me. It just wasn't the right time for me to read it, and I'm really gonna try to reread it. I bought the exclusive edition. I have the audiobook. I have the arc. I need to read it. I just think when I tried to read it, I was trying to force myself to read something, and I just wasn't in the mood to read, and then my mental health got all weird, and so I had to just put it down for a while. I will come back to it. Princess of Souls, I'm trying to still decide if it's a complete DNF or if I'm gonna just try to finish it. I got about halfway through. It is a Rapunzel inspired retelling, and I'm just not vibing with it at the moment. So it's still on my shelf. I'm not going to be able to finish it this year. And anyways, here is my tier list of all the 110 plus the 2 DNFs, so like 112, but 110 books, novellas, short stories, graphic novels, manga that I read this year. Thank God 2022 is almost over. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any new favorites that you added to your like my favorite of all time list. I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna go eat some food. But thank you so much for watching. I don't have that much cat content to give you this time, I don't think. Actually, no, I have a good cat content to give you. There is some lovely cat content. Actually, I don't know if it's lovely. She was kind of being a little brat, but she's cute, so enjoy it. Are you moving now? Are you good? Sorry. Okay, well, yeah, just, you could stay there while I figure out how to screen record. Oh. Wow, cat, I'm gonna need you to move. Can you move? Are you gonna yell at me if I ask you to move? Ow, 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 ow. Okay, okay. No. Come on my lap. Come on my lap. There you go.